92.7 3 FM.
It's midday. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the news here on 3FM 92.7. We're coming to you live from our studio at Adisa Wikanda here in Accra, also live on our numerous affiliates across the country. Around the world, we're streaming live on 3news.com. Download the TuneIn app from the Google Play or Apple App Store and listen to us on the go. Coming up this afternoon, more than 5 feared dead in a special operation by security forces to clamp down on land guards at Botiano. We get details for you shortly. Also this afternoon, President Akufo-Addo leads the way as all government agencies take the day off to plant up to 10 million trees on Green Ghana Day. The event, however, is being heavily questioned by civil society groups and the minority in Parliament, who say the exercise has become an avenue for corruption.
We do not allow this scheme, well intended as it is, to become an avenue for corruption. Mr. Speaker, as things stand now, instead of greening Ghana, it looks like green corruption to me.
And much later, payment of outstanding coupons and principals to pensioner bondholders begin hitting the account after they were there yesterday again picketing. We get details shortly if you stay with us here on the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. A pleasure that you could be a part of this afternoon's bulletin. It's streaming live on Facebook. Our handles 3FM927. Same handles on Twitter as well. I am Eric Mawuena Egbeta. We're beginning the bulletin from here this afternoon, where more than 5 people are feared dead in a security operation to clamp down on land guards at Botiano. Reports indicate a team of police and military personnel stormed the area following complaints of land guards terrorizing landowners there. Godwin Asidiba is my colleague in the Botiano community. He's joining us on the telephone lines with details as to exactly what we know is the situation in the area. He'll provide a lot more details for us this afternoon here on the news. He's joined us on the telephone lines now, and we can just pick thoughts quickly. Godwin Asidiba has joined us. So, Godwin, you've been to the community. Exactly what have residents and eyewitnesses been telling you?
Okay, so we are currently in Botiano Hills where the incident happened. We have been told by the eyewitnesses that some personnel suspected to be police and military officials invaded the premises on Thursday at around 2 p.m. and started shooting at some landowners in the area who are known as Asafo. Usually, they gather there at a particular spot to rest after they monitor happenings around the place in terms of people not invading or taking up people's land. So after that exercise yesterday, they came at a particular spot to rest where the people actually came there wearing police and military uniform. So, I mean, the eyewitnesses just suspected that there might be personnel from either the police or the military. So they came in, started shooting at the people who were seated there. I mean, it turned a bit chaotic. You can clearly see that some farmlands in the area, like there was a particular farm that they had sown some maize there. You could clearly see that there had been some particular action around there because some of the crops had fallen down, and you could see some cases of bullets and blood stains around the walls in the area. At some point, if you walk ahead in the area, there are some walls that you can clearly see that there are some holes that have been created there, which are also suspected, I beg your pardon, to be bullets that were shot towards that particular walls, according to eyewitness. So generally, they are still living in fear because they don't know at what point these people who stormed the area yesterday might come again. But this is what I've been able to gather so far. Yesterday, after the incident happened, the eyewitnesses also went on to tell me that the people came along with a bus. So after the shooting, they took them, put them in a bus. There was a man
put the bodies of the suspected dead people in the bus.
Exactly, the bodies and then the injured into the vehicle and then drove them away. But some elderly people in the community are following up on the case. They so far have been telling us that they injured, and then the other people who have lost their lives have been taken to the police hospital, but that hasn't been confirmed yet. That is what the people here in the community are telling us, but we are following up to those people who are currently gathered around the Interior Ministry to address the situation. So whatever will be the update, we'll definitely be updating you.
Right. Godwin, just a final bit of detail or clarification. The suspicion is that these individuals who were allegedly gunned down are land guards. Did the residents corroborate any of this?
Absolutely not. They tell us that these people are part of them. They are people who have their land legally. They don't come around chasing people over ownership of land and all of that. These people are landowners who sell their land out to people who want to buy. So on a daily basis, they come around to monitor around, because they've also raised suspicions of people coming in to take up lands that do not belong to them. So these people come around every day to monitor if such practices are ongoing around the area. And after that exercise, they have a particular spot that they gather, and they're actually friendly with most of the people who live around. So generally, they tell us that these people who were attacked are people who are not known to be land guards, let's say attacking residents or fighting over land issues. No, they don't have such situations around them. They're actually really good people, and that is what the residents are saying.
Just finally, do we know the number in terms of persons who may have died or may be injured who were carried away by these security operatives?
So according to the eyewitnesses, they might be more than 5. Usually they're about 20, 11, 15, depending on the number of people who are coming around to monitor activities on their land. But as of yesterday, the number wasn't really that much. But an eyewitness told me that there were about 5 people who were put into the vehicle and then taken away to the police hospital.
Right, so that's my colleague Gordon Asiliba with some more details from the Botiano community. And you heard him mention that there's expected to be some explanations as well from the elders in the community. And he mentions the Interior Ministry as well. He'll be following up on that and be bringing us a lot more details in the course of the day if you stay with us here on 3FM 92.7 and on 3news.com. But away from the security matters to concerns on the environment, because this afternoon President Akufo-Addo is leading cabinet and all other institutions of the state to plant some 10 million seedlings as part of the Green Ghana Day celebration. The event, which has become annual, is meant to have all citizens contribute to increasing the country's vegetation cover, a theme that is being heavily questioned by civil society groups, some of whom have refused to participate in the exercise over what they say is government's lukewarm attitude towards dealing with deforestation and the ravages of illegal mining. Appearing before Parliament, Lands Minister Samuel Jinapor, while answering questions on accountability on earlier planted trees, said such details rest with the Forestry Commission, which is continually carrying out audits.
The Forestry Commission takes a period of time to be able to come to the conclusion as to how many trees have been planted. The Forestry Commission will give out seedlings. It will take them about a week or 2 before they are able to ascertain that these number of trees were planted. And they have a situation room, they have a strong room where they collate all the reports across the country. So it takes a bit of time before they're able to say with certainty that we planted these number of trees. I want to assure this House that the accounts of the Green Ghana Committee get audited each year. In 2021, the accounts were audited. In 2022, the accounts were audited. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, following the contributions that have been made in this House, I intend to publish the accounts of the Green Ghana Committee for 2023, perhaps 2021, 2022, 2023.
That's the Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Jinapor there. The President is currently at the University of Ghana, where he, along with the Vice President, are leading the way in the planting of trees, and we'll just take a listen to exactly what the president has been saying pretty shortly. But he says that even though Ghana's contribution to climate change is minimal, the country is committed to contribute in reducing greenhouse gas emission by some 64 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent by 2030. This, he says, will enhance the country's resilience and adaptation to climate change by improving early warning systems. And like I mentioned, the president has been speaking at the University of Ghana. We'll touch base there shortly, where my colleague is also a presidential affairs correspondent, and Adia is there for us. But let's take you to Kumasi, to be specific, where the exercise is being replicated there as well. Ibrahim Abubakar is monitoring it for us. He's joined us on the telephone line. Ibrahim, exactly what's happening? How many trees are the individuals and authorities in Kumasi expecting to plant today?
Well, for the Ashanti region, they are expecting to plant about 4 million trees. And the Asantino 2432 has led the charge, and he has also joined in planting the trees. But basically, we have also been looking at the progress of the trees that have been planted in the previous years. And one thing we have observed that apart from those who are within the forest enclave, that we say we've seen about 80% of progress. Those that were planted within the urban cities, the medians, street medians, and other places, you get there and you realize most of these trees couldn't survive, possibly because they have not been nurtured well. And one worrying or disturbing issue has to do with the trees even planted within the Barikese dam catchment area. You know, when you come to the Ashanti region, this is the dam that supplies the entire of Ashanti region and also other areas. One thing we've seen that most of the trees that have been planted there have been taken off by some farmers to conduct their farming activities there. So it's kind of a worrying development, and authorities have gone back, planted them, but this time around they have given these farmers 3 months to clear all their farm produce there, and after those 3 months they will deploy a team of police and military around the catchment area just to make sure that tree planted there will survive, and also they will prevent any form of farming activities in and around that area.
Right then, Ibrahim Abubakar from the Ashanti region there with some more details. Well, while all of the tree planting is ongoing, Member of Parliament for Tamale North, Al-Hassan Suini, says Greening Ghana exercise is fast becoming an avenue for corruption. He spoke on the floor of Parliament.
President in 2022 in his Sona address revealed to this House that they had successfully planted 7 million trees, 2 million more than was initially planned to be planted. However, the minister weeks earlier, in an answer to a question in this same House, reported that only about 4.89 million trees were planted. Mr. Speaker, the question therefore is, how many trees indeed were planted, and how much did we throw at the plantation of these trees? When I look at the measures that are put in place, for example, for accountability, to ensure that when we are told 5 million trees are planted, we indeed can see 5 million trees planted, are not there. Mr. Speaker, when we are told that it was a success, about 80% success, Mr. Speaker, there is nothing to verify on the ground. And I just want to urge the ministry to work together with Parliament and other stakeholders to ensure that we do not allow this scheme, well intended as it is, to become an avenue for corruption. Mr. Speaker, as things stand now, instead of greening Ghana, it looks like green corruption to me.
That's Al-Hassan Suhili, East Tamale North MP, speaking on the floor of the House. Well, like we mentioned, civil society groups across the country are raising concerns and are demanding more from government in protecting the country's forest cover. Tropin Ghana, one of such civil society groups, they are asking or demanding a lot more action from government. We've been joined on the telephone line by Boachi Chumisi Ankrais, project manager at Tropin Ghana. He's joined us on the telephone lines. Many thanks for speaking to us. So you said you want more commitment from government in protecting the country's forest cover. Is it the case that the planting of trees is not enough?
Okay, thank you very much. Planting of trees is only one part of the effort that can be taken in terms of trying to conserve our forest or promoting forest cover in Ghana. And so for us, we love the idea of planting trees, and especially with the initiative of the Green Ghana Day celebration. But what we mean is that there should be more commitment shown on the part of government in terms of forest conservation in the country. If you would permit, I can go ahead and mention some of the things that we think could be done in respect of that.
And what possibly could be the things?
Okay, so we believe that tree planting on such celebrative days are only to add on to what nature has given us. But we believe on one breath, we cannot be taking actions which or we cannot sit aloof and look on when actions that destroy what nature has given us is done, or we cannot look on why people destroy the forest and then we look on without taking stringent measures to stop them, while we then on one hand plant trees. And even as a state, some of our efforts also are threats to forest destruction or conservation setbacks or destroys conservation efforts. And so if we are doing this, we are in support of it, but we should look at forest conservation and forest protection as a holistic thing and not just tree planting. In any case, if we plant these trees, have we considered the people that are planting? Do they have the technical know-how to plant? I believe that it is already 12. People are still planting. Will they survive the heat of the day? Where are they planting? It is also a point of consideration that we have to look at. Where are they planting? We plant at places where the next week, the next month, developments are happening there, and they will not be found. They will not be found the following year. And so, some of these things are what we are looking at. We can look at irresponsible mining happening, and then very little is being done to curtail those things. And so, when we put all these things together, we look at it and say that, oh, there is more to be done if we really want to conserve forests, if we really want to improve tree cover in our country.
Right, sir. Mr. Chumesi Ankra, I appreciate that you could speak to us. That's Pachi Chumesi Ankra, is project manager at Tropping Boss Ghana, speaking to us. And on another leg, other civil society groups are holding a news conference at this particular point in relation to the tree planting exercise. We'll get a lot more details from there in the course of the bulletin. But you're listening to the news here on 3FM 92.7. Let's do finance now, because members of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum on Thursday resumed picketing at the Ministry of Finance to demand payment of all outstanding coupons and principals. The group also threatened to drag the Finance Ministry to charge over their treatment and the non-payment of interest on their matured coupons and bonds. Well, there's been an update on the issue. Dr. Edwana Nienchi is the convener of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, who joined us on the telephone line with a bit more on the updates for us here on the news on 3FM 92.7. And the indication we get is that they have begun to receive payment from the government. As to whether or not the interest they asked for is a part of it, on which they said they were going to drag the government to charge. Let's get details on that. Dr. Edwana Nienchi has joined us on the telephone line. Doc, I appreciate that you could speak to us. Just briefly, the indication is that you have begun receiving payment on your outstanding coupons and bonds. Does it include your interest, which you met government over yesterday?
No, the interest is not part. The government says it's not able to pay interest on the delayed principal.
At the time of filing his nomination.
And these coupons that have begun hitting your account, is it all the 5 outstanding to which the final?
Determine that we must get some time. We need to have some time before we can check.
But your members, your members have given you the indication
that they are giving, but we need to monitor and see if all has been coming.
How long will that take?
No, by the end of this today, we believe all the payments would have been affected.
Right then, Doc, many thanks for that update. That's Dr. Edwin Anienchi. He is the convener of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, speaking to us on the situation there. We're taking you up north now and talk about anthrax, because over the last week, there's been lots of conversation in relation to it, and there's been an outright ban on the slaughtering of livestock in the Upper East region. Well, butchers there say that outright ban is beginning to affect business while causing fear and panic within their municipalities. A report from Bolgatanga. Anthrax spread by the Regional Coordinating Council was implemented on its first day, leaving animal traders at the Bolgatanga market dejected.
Nobody come because the market, they say they have announced that they shouldn't come. So it's emergency. Nobody come. Already, the Mayanka people, we too, sometimes they came here and buy and go and kill and sell. So they stopped them at the spot. So they didn't inform them, they didn't inform us. So we don't know. This thing, it will affect all of us, our business side.
Meat consumption has been replaced by other protein sources such as fish and eggs. Anthrax is a bacterial infection caused by Bacillus anthracis, which has caused one death in the Upper East region. Fear of contracting the disease has increased due to the lack of meat sales at the Bolgatanga Old Abattoir. Upper East Regional Secretary of the Butchers Association, Tembil Timothy, told the news team they were not consulted ahead of the wholesale ban.
But this meeting was done behind our backs because we are stakeholders in this matter and we are not consulted. Apart from that, it is causing fear and panic in the region. I don't think it has reached the level where a ban should have been total ban should have been put on the sale of meat.
He adds the ban is causing fear and panic in the region.
It is causing fear and panic in the region. I don't think it has reached the level where a ban should have been total ban should have been put on the sale of meat.
A news desk reports there on the challenges of anthrax and the butchers, amongst many things, asking for consultation over matters like this as it continues to affect their businesses. You're listening to the news here on 3FM 92.7, streaming live on Facebook. Our handles 3FM 927, same handles on Twitter as well, 3FM 927. Let's do some other matters now, because the former chief executive of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, Chachu Chikata, has disagreed with the World Bank country director's statement that Ghana's energy sector debt is as a result of power purchase agreement of excess capacity. According to the lawyer, the World Bank itself has contributed significantly to Ghana's energy sector debt. He's been speaking exclusively to my colleague Alfred Okanse.
I think it's interesting that the World Bank is getting itself into the forefront of this discussion because, again, when I look back at this whole gas-fired power sector, which is where some of these issues are arising, the World Bank has made some serious mistakes in relation to understanding our national energy situation. You know, in the 80s and early 90s, when GMPC, as a result of this gas mandate, was insisting that, you know, based on all the evidence available, gas was an important source to complement and supplement the power from hydro sources. At that time, the view of the World Bank was against having additional capacity from gas resources. Because the argument of the World Bank, and the reason I'm raising this is because fuel costs are a major part of the problem that we have about the power sector. You know, fuel costs are a major part of the problem. And some of those fuel costs have to do with even going back to the use of light crude oil.
That's former CEO of the GNPC, Chachu Chikata, and respected lawyer as well. Let's do politics now. With about 2 weeks ago for the Asin North by-election, the District Security Council says any individual who intends to foment trouble will be severely dealt with according to law. Head of the District Security Council and District Chief Executive for Asin North, Charles Owusu-Ando, says there will be more than enough security men on the ground to ensure a peaceful by-election. We'll take you to Asin North pretty shortly, but meanwhile, the Liberal Party of Ghana, they've launched their campaign seeking to win the seat there. Komla Kluche is our parliamentary affairs correspondent. He's been stationed there all throughout the week and has been interacting with leadership from the Liberal Party of Ghana.
So if you think the tussle for the Asin North seat is just between the NDC and the MPP, well, you're going to have to look at it again, because an opposition party, the LPG, which is the Liberal Party of Ghana, is also sticking its neck out, wanting not just to make some appearance of the sort, but then they want to capture the seat. Well, how smooth is that going to be? I have the candidate who is here together with the national organizer, and they've been going around doing a lot of the pasting and hoisting of the party paraphernalia. For how long have you expressed interest in the Asin North seat? And you know,
it's been since they started the current elections that took place 2020. Yeah, that's when I decided that when I get a chance, I will contest for the MPship at Asin North.
And what are your chances? I mean, Liberal party, of course, we know nationally. I mean, just a case in instance, the 2020 elections, your party didn't do well. What are your chances here in Asin North?
Wow. Although they didn't do well, but we are still on it. That's why we have taken my time to go around Asin North, making the people understand the more reasons why they should vote for me.
What are you campaigning on?
We are campaigning on how to make the youth of Asin North get what they want, and then agriculture sectors also to increase their productivities at Asin North here. That's our main motive here.
You're confident you're going to win this?
Yeah.
How sure are you?
Oh, I'm sure.
We are prepared because we've already been in the system, in the game. And we have executives here from the constituency, branch level, the region. We have executives here.
And so executives of the LPG party gunning to win the Asin North seat will end on the front of health, because rotational nurses and midwives in the Western and Western North regions are set to begin a series of protests if government fails to pay their 12-month outstanding allowances by end of this month. According to them, although their mandatory national service will end on the 30th of this month, they've not been paid for the past 12 months. A situation, they say, has brought untold hardship on them. Speak to Isaiah Kofi, is the president for the Western and Western North Rotational Nurses and Midwives Association. Isaiah, 12 months you've not been paid. How have you been surviving?
Thank you very much, Mr. Eric. In fact, it is not easy to have worked for close to 12 months and not receive a penny. You can imagine, most of us have to rely on credit facilities. Those of us that can't get loans or get access to these credit facilities have to, one way or other, survive by taking in anything that they find themselves in. So it's not easy. Some of us have gotten even ulcers and all that because you can't afford to eat 3 square meals a day or even 2. Right. In fact, it has not been easy. It has not been easy.
Not been easy. You say you're embarking on a series of activities. What are the activities planned, and what's been the engagement levels with government like?
National leadership have done a series of engagements with the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Finance. Two matters moved in payment of our allowances. But it seems nothing has come out of it. In fact, even to a point that the Minister of Health has to
promised us on the floor of Parliament that before the month of May ends, we will receive our allowance. And up to now, all these things tend to be lies. In fact, right now, we are really serious about this whole matter, and then we really want our money going forward. And that's why we have already want to stage a demonstration. It was even planned before, but the law enforcement agencies, unfortunately, have to move it to the tail end of our demonstration, of our service. So we are hoping that that will not deter us from having a demonstration. Come what may, the demonstration will happen. Because if it's enough, it's enough. We have really suffered for that much, and then it's not easy. In fact, what is even mind-boggling is that those of us that were posted to far away from our homes, you can imagine that we rented, and our rent will be expiring by the end of this month. And then our landlords are already on our neck to vacate. And here is the case that we have to go to our respective homes. So in case the clearance is released at their own convenient time, you can imagine we have to travel away from home and come to our respective facilities
to receive your money. Isaiah, will return to you and get a lot more in subsequent bulletins. That's Isaiah Kofi, is the president of the Western and Western North Rotational Nurses Association, speaking to us. So that's how we end this afternoon's edition of the bulletin here on 3FM 92.7. As always, a lot more news. If you log on to 3news.com, the business team, they're on standby to bring us the very latest from the world of business. I am Eric Mawuena Egbeta.